looking at this race as almost a sneak peek for the midterms next year. Is this giving any indication about what the midterms are going to look like and what messaging you want Republicans to run on?
Well, I remember, I go far back to, having supported George Allen in the midterm in 93, and obviously that helped in 94. I was on the ballot as a delegate in 2009 with Bob McDonnell, which did obviously portend for a great 2010 for Republicans. Bob McDonnell won by a big margin. So this has, been usually a good indicator. Now, it didn't work well for Republicans in 2022, because even though Glenn Youngkin won in 2021, I would remind people initially when he won his primary, he was not endorsed by Trump and he did not seek the endorsement. And even when he won the primary, Trump never appeared with him in the general election. And while Trump did endorse him, Youngkin really ran on his own. He had his own money, he had his own message. He did not run as a Trump Republican. His links to Trump only came later after he won. So he ran as his own man and he won as his own man. But in 2022, you had all these candidates that came in and ran on the Trump message. And that's when Republicans massively underperformed in 2022, because all those Trumpers, whether it was Herschel Walker down in Georgia or, the people, Dixon in Michigan and Kerry Lake in Arizona, all those Trumpers went down in flames, and we underperformed in the House. Even though they won, they underperformed massively from the expectations, even at a time when the economy and the wind was at the back of Republicans and they should have gained many more seats. So the Trump effect was really hurt them in gaining seats. So that, again, Trump has been good for himself when he's on the ballot, but he hasn't been good for anyone else, particularly in Virginia and in swing states. And next year, that's why I think you see him scrambling to, do this redistricting and cheating and trying to change the mail-in ballots, because when he's at 38%, 37%, he's underwater on all these issues. You can't be winning the midterms on the current table that they have when you only have a 3-seat majority, and you have people like Don Bacon retiring, and I think you're going to see more retirements. That's why they have to now try and change the seats in a way that will help them. But now that's starting off a scramble in California and New York, which I think is very unfortunate, because it's really better if we debate the issues and run on the issues instead of trying to, cheat on turnout. And listen, Virginia, we lost when Trump was in office on lines that we had drawn as Republicans. We lost that majority from 66 or 7 to 47 when we drew those lines, because Trump was that bad of an effect. And I think, there's nothing that can help when you have an unpopular president, no matter how much you try and, no matter how much. I had more money than my opponent. People literally were walking by me saying, listen, Barbara, I like you. You've actually done a good job. I like a lot of the things you've done, but I've got to send a message to Trump. And I literally was voted against by a lot of people who liked me, but wanted to have Democrats in charge to send a message to Trump. The midterms are always a message on Trump. Not that Democrats don't have a lot of problems of their own, but I think New Jersey and Virginia will, moderate candidates winning, which I expect they will, should be a message to the Democratic Party. Find moderate, good, sensible candidates. Roy Cooper in North Carolina, sensible people like that. And you have a chance to make a comeback. But Republicans should also learn from that. Get sensible candidates. Do not run these nuts that you're running. And look, that Michael Whatley down in North Carolina, all he is a, Trump wannabe. He's just going to be whatever Trump wants him to be. And now you're having the same problem in Georgia. Instead of, you had good candidates like Governor Kemp pass, in New Hampshire. We've had good candidates like Governor Sununu pass because they aren't Trump replicas, they're passing. And then you're going to get these Trump bots that will run and lose in states that would be winnable for Republicans. So our Republican legacy is saying, listen, what we need is to get people, Republicans who can stand on their own 2 feet, aren't afraid to be a little different, and be their own men, their own women, people like Kelly Ayotte, Kelly Ayotte just vetoed a book banning bill. What's wrong with doing that? In most places, Republicans would be afraid to do that. Governor Abbott would be scared to death to do that. And listen, you've got Ken Paxton down there just trying to do whatever Trump wants, and now he's primarying John Cornyn and putting a Republican seat in danger. That's what's hurting the party, is we don't have people who will stand up and be their own person and say when they think something is wrong that Trump is doing, which there's a lot of things that are wrong that he's doing. We need a Congress. We need a Congress that's actually doing the role of Congress. Congress is, I don't even know why a lot of these people are even running again and are there, because they just have handed over everything to him. They are letting him impound money that's supposed to go to their constituents, to their states, things that they voted for, cancer grants for their states, for their universities. He's letting them run roughshod over bills that they voted for, that they championed. And then he says, I'm not going to enforce the bills or even let the money be spent that you appropriated. And they just roll over. What's the point of having a Republican Congress if they're not going to do even, stand up for the bills that they've passed?